What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Monday, and it's also Christmas week. We got a special show here on this Monday reacting to the fourth straight Titans loss here recently, as the Titans are now dropping to 7-7, and the AFC South is absolutely in jeopardy after a 17-14 loss at the LA Chargers on Sunday. We're going to have a doozy of a show, that's for sure. Austin Stanley and Zach Bingham live here on a Monday morning. And this show is brought to you by A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. We'll tell you guys how you can avoid doing what the Titans have been doing recently, losing. You can avoid losing on Christmas Day with A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. So we'll talk about that throughout this morning show, but a ton to react to. More baffling decisions by Titans offensive coordinator Todd Downing, and beating themselves led to the fourth consecutive loss by Mike Vrabel's football team. The first time the Titans have lost four straight under the current head coach, and the first time since Ken Wisenhunt was the head coach of the Titans that they've lost 4 games in a row, Zach. So it's going in the wrong direction real fast. So we'll react to a lot of that, have a couple of really big questions for you guys to answer in the chat as well when it comes to who or what is most to blame for the loss yesterday. And then the Titans got 2 big problems, and I don't know if they've got a fix for either one of them that we'll talk about throughout the O-line, or injuries continuing to pile up. But Zach, welcome in. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you and Sam you guys definitely had a lot to talk about yesterday on the pre, half, and post-game show for Titans Chargers. That's for sure.
Yep, we're broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch this morning on this Monday morning, reacting to the game from yesterday. Make sure that you get locked into our Twitter handle. We'll be tweeting out segment by segment our YouTube links at A to Z Sports. So give us a follow there on Twitter and on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already. Over 10,000 of you guys have subscribed, which is great. We always need more subscribers. If you have already subscribed, you can go ahead and hit the like button on this video. That helps the algorithm to get into some more people. We're just trying to grow our community as big as possible, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube. The easiest way is on YouTube to subscribe to A to Z Sports Nashville. On Facebook, the real OGs that have been here since day one, those guys, you guys need to share the show. Bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing on this show. Share the show around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. More people are going to be piling in on this Monday morning, reacting to the Titans' fourth straight loss in the last 4 weeks, and to the Chargers in dramatic fashion on a last-second field goal. So we want to get everybody's opinion in here. So subscribe and share, and let's get this party started on a Monday morning, reacting to what happened yesterday.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show all over our Twitter timeline, segment by segment. Also hit us up on Instagram and TikTok for more content galore. But we got to thank our sponsors, because they make it happen for us and they help out you guys. Wilson County Hyundai, check them out. Make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon, or simply at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's better coverage, rates, and service. Learn more about a health plan for you, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call them for a free case consultation. That's 800-800-4600. The Titans lose the 4th game in a row. This one to the Chargers on a last, second field goal with 4 seconds remaining, technically. 17-14, the final score. Ryan Tannehill's quarterback sneak with under 50 seconds left tied the game. Mike Vrabel deciding to kick the extra point, not go for 2. We'll react to a bunch of things here. But today is a little special show. As you see on the graphic on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. It is the week of Christmas. So a lot of people maybe need that extra little thing to get that gifts over the edge and do that right level you need to be. You're looking for that last minute, that last second gift to put it over the top. Well, you will always be undefeated when you go to a Moment's Peace salon and day spa. It's really easy. A momentspeace.com/Christmas. That's all you got to do. And you just get a gift card. It doesn't matter how much the gift card is. A gift card from a Moment's Peace salon and day spa to the person that you love most will always be undefeated, and a great way to put Christmas over the top there at the last second. So momentspeace.com/Christmas. And Zach, we've been doing this for several years now. Always win with whatever you do from a Moment's Peace.
Yeah, you can swing by there and get stocking stuffers. They've got, robes, very nice, comfortable robes that I think we could speak of firsthand as we did a broadcast there over the years. But a Moment's Peace, we love a Moment's Peace, and they're a great gift idea for this Christmas. Look, I want to get to this comment real quick before I ask you, Austin, to react. And Andre giving some lunch money to Sam from yesterday's 9 to 5, working on the weekends. Says every week since the Eagles, Andre says he's been proven right. Can we now admit it's time to evaluate and focus on getting draft position? The Titans are not a playoff team. Well, we haven't figured that out yet. There's still more games to play. There's still opportunity to get this thing right. But Austin, yesterday, they got a lot of things wrong in the second half. Now, they tied the football game up, which was admirable, which was tough for an offense that doesn't move very quickly, especially against the clock. But they tied it up at 14-14, but it wasn't enough because their defense relinquished that lead late in the game, as you said, with 4 seconds left. What was your overall reaction of the Titans now dropping 4 in a row and one to the Chargers, a desperate Chargers team that's trying to make the playoffs themselves in a different way through the wild card? That was a big loss and a big win for either side.
Yeah, and honestly, I wasn't on the pregame, halftime, and postgame show. Sam was in for me yesterday, but I didn't give a prediction. My prediction would have been a 2-touchdown win by the Chargers. I had that set in. I did not think this was going to be close. I did think the Titans offense would be able to score more than that, but the Titans defense had a valiant effort. I mean, the defense out there has a bunch of practice squads type players that are being forced into duty, and even those guys are going down with injuries. And we'll talk about injuries on the defense as a whole later on, but you have to give the credit to the Titans players that are at least out there. Minus a couple. I don't want to give Dennis Daly any credit because that guy's awful as a left tackle, and we've known that. But the players are fighting. It's not necessarily their fault that this team is losing 4 games in a row. It's a culmination of decisions and non-decisions that were made over the last 18 months that have gotten the Titans in this situation, and then injuries that have really screwed everything up. But, the Titans defense played phenomenal. Roger McCreary making a great play right before half to save some points. Kevin Byard gets a pick after the Titans turn the ball over to save more points right there. And you get the tie game, and we can go back and forth. And I don't know if you guys did this in the post game or not, but should Mike Vrabel have gone for 2 at the end or tie it up? At the end, it was irrelevant because Justin Herbert, who is a freak athlete and freak talent at the quarterback position in just his 3rd year, was able to make a few plays in the last 40 seconds to set the Chargers up for a very makeable game-winning field goal at the end. But
you don't go for 2 there. I'll tell you why, because the tie has value in where you are in your season.
Yeah, and
that was the correct decision. You don't go for 2 because if you get into a situation, you get into overtime, then a tie helps you.
Yes, a tie helps you with the Jags.
So that was Vrabel knew what he was doing there.
Yeah, and I think Mike Vrabel typically is a really good football coach, but there's some things I'm going to get to about yesterday's game that I think is starting to be negatives on Mike Vrabel's resume or score sheet if you're keeping score at home on how you're tracking and grading the head coach throughout his tenure. But overall, I did not expect that Titans-Chargers game to go down to the wire like it did. So the players, the defense itself, the defensive coaching staff deserves a lot of credit. Ryan Tannehill deserves a ton of credit for gutting that thing out. It looked really bad when he was going off in that cart, and you didn't know what to expect from Tannehill. And we'll talk about Tannehill moving forward, I'm sure, throughout the entire week as the Titans have a short week and then another short week coming up too. And they need Ryan Tannehill to be able to be a little bit more mobile than he is with those bad ankles. But I think a lot of players deserve a lot of credit for their efforts. But again, it doesn't matter when you lose 4 games in a row. You're in a really bad spot because of losing those 4 games, and you've got to find a way to beat the Texans, and that I think will be obviously the big task going into this week.
Yeah, well, and another thing that the Titans are unfortunately possibly trending to be, you don't want to put yourself in a situation like the Indianapolis Colts did last year, where they should have made the playoffs last year, but then they lost to the Raiders and the Jags to close the season. They didn't finish strong and they missed the playoffs. The Titans, I mean, I don't feel good about this football team and what their capabilities are. They won 7 out of 8 games in the middle of the season. We know that. That is true. That happened. But since the last 4 games, they've been playing really bad football, and these injuries are starting to stack up. And Austin, this morning, I would love to know how that ankle feels on number 17's right leg, because that, look, you can play. We all know how ankles work. You can grit out immediately after it happens. But once swelling sets in, when the first time he injured it, he was out 2 weeks, right? Well, if he's out 2 weeks, that means that there's going to be a showdown in Duval County of possibly his return. There's so many storylines on this team, and they've got to find a way to not just completely fumble the bag that is the AFC South, because they had that stowed away right up above. They were in their seat, and then all of a sudden it's starting to fall out.
Yeah.
And they got to fix it.
Well, and if you remember the first time Tannehill hurt his ankle, that was a home game. He didn't have to get on a plane and fly 4 hours and have that thing swell up even more. So, yeah, I think, and plus 2 games in 10 days once Ryan Tannehill returns home, because they have the Texans game on Saturday, then the quick turnaround for the Thursday night game at home against the Cowboys as well, right before New Year. So let's go ahead and ask the question, because I'm already seeing a lot of people in the comment section answer the question that we're about to ask right here. What is most to blame for the Titans' loss to the Chargers? What is most to blame for the Titans' 17-14 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers? But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care whenever you get hurt. Maybe it's your ankle. Maybe you take a wrong step walking the dog or whatever it might be, and you got to go get your ankle checked out. The Bone and Joint Institute in Franklin can make sure you get back to health by giving you the right resources and the recovery techniques, as long as incredible care from one of their dozen specialists there in Franklin at the Bone and Joint Institute. So check them out. Whenever you get hurt in life, you need to know who to go to and who to turn to get back to health. And that is the fine folks at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org.
AZ Sports powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports. They're the king of sports books right there on your phone. So download the app in your Apple or Android phone. Use that promo code ATOZ SPORTS. All one word, no spaces in the promo code tab. You get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 for new users. BetMGM hooking you up right there. Download the app today.
All right, first question to all of you guys on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch today, and I'm going to send Zach to the comment section to get those answers, is what is most to blame for the Titans' 17-14 loss to the Chargers? And by the way, brought to you by A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. This morning, head to amomentspeace.com/Christmas to get that last second gift for someone you love, and make sure you win on Christmas Day when they get a gift card from Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Again, amomentspeace.com/Christmas for that gift card. So Zach, what's the comment section saying right now about who and what is most to blame?
Yeah, Jeremy says the offensive line. So does Steven. Lane says the fact that the offense can be effective and also completely inept in the same quarter is head scratching. And look, that's a very true statement right there from Lane. Mr. Jones says Bullock, which that's not necessarily his fault. I would actually put that on the sack taken by Ryan Tannehill. Big Ten Jeff says the offense. So does Jared. Injuries from Wilbur, letting Tannehill come back from Valentino. I heard that a lot yesterday, which was kind of head scratching to me. I think Ryan Tannehill gives you a much better opportunity to win that game than a rookie Malik Willis running around for his life, which you saw that for a short period of time for one series. And it didn't end in points. They didn't make any mistakes, but they ended up punting. So,
well, yeah, and early in the game, the Titans had on their first 4 drives, the Titans had 3 punts and a touchdown. On all 3 of the punt drives, the Titans had a really bad penalty on a block that put them in a bad spot, whether it was Tannehill or Malik Willis, because there was the hold on Radens on Malik Willis's drive that put it in a bad spot. Then the Ben Jones chop block on the first damn play of the game didn't help things out for the Titans offense. And then Austin Hooper, very soft-ish call on his hold, but the Titans could not stop from hurting themselves early in that game. But Tannehill put the offense and Derrick Henry on his back to go get a touchdown drive to tie it 7-7 early on, at least.
Randy has an interesting take. The lack of urgency to adjust a failing philosophy. I think we're going to talk, and that's going to lead us into a couple of the post-game clips. Downing again from Caleb. OC play calling there from Colby. Offensive line, not just against the Chargers, but all year from Amber, who's got her caps lock on. Play calling in key situations. J-Rob, says Danny. Offensive line from Seattle Oates, Vrabel and his diva ways from Van Jeffrey, injuries from Scott, J-Rob from Kevin, wide receivers from Chris Frazier. Brian says injuries, Downing from Rick, coaching from Robbie. DJ says J-Rob for the roster. Jerry says injuries. So, I mean, and Jordan brings this up. The Raidens came in and played a lot better than Dennis Daly in the first half, but then got hurt, unfortunately. So Daly is thrown back into a position that we know that he can't play very well. And, the Titans had 0 sacks against Ryan Tannehill or given up by their offensive line in the first half. They didn't end that way. And, if you look at what Dennis Daly, and some of them came from the right side, but a lot of them came from the left side, 4 sacks for 28 yards. So that pushed, a lot of things back. But Austin, what do you think made the Titans lose yesterday?
I think the Titans lost because of, and it's in the headline of the show, baffling decisions by offensive coordinator and play caller Todd Downing. And I'm going to point to 3 scenarios where I think Todd Downing completely messed up with his decision-making. And we're going to start with the 3rd and 2 non-Derrick Henry play calls. And that's what doesn't make sense to me whatsoever, is because we knew, and we talked about this on Friday, Zach. Remember my stat where in the Chargers' last 4 losses, they give up an average of 171 rushing yards per game. It was the 28th worst run defense in the NFL. So that's 4th or 5th worst in the league. And so the Titans had success running the football early in that game, but 2 second-half decisions by Todd Downing in the 3rd quarter made no sense whatsoever. And the first one comes on the opening drive on the 3rd quarter, where the Titans had, get this, Zach, the Titans had their 10th 3-and-out on their first drive of the 3rd quarter this season. Derrick Henry gained 4 on first down, a pass to Robert Woods for 4 yards, and a 3rd and 2 incomplete pass to Woods where the Titans punt. Derrick Henry was on the field, didn't get the football. Then 2 possessions later, Derrick Henry on the second set of downs had a 7-yard gain on first down, a 1-yard gain on 2nd and 3, and then he was off the field on 3rd and 2, and an incomplete pass to Chigakonkwo led to the Titans punting. Why does Derrick Henry not at least get a look on one of those 3rd and 2 play calls? It makes no sense to me, because Derrick Henry was working early on in that game, and he was working late in that game. He averaged 5 yards a carry throughout the ball game and just didn't get enough opportunities. But if you're going to throw the football in 3rd and 2, at least have number 22 on the field to be able to get the football or be a threat right there. And, Mike Vrabel was asked about this, and I thought this was a very weak way for Mike Vrabel to respond to fair questioning in the post-game press conference.
This team's generally prided itself on being able to get a couple yards in the run game when you need it. You had 2 3rd and 2s, one with Derek on the field, one with Derek off the field. You chose to throw it. Why not lean on your best guy and your best element?
Because that's what we chose to do.
What's the thinking behind?
Because that's the play that we called and we went with.
So Mike Vrabel does not hold the decision process of the play calling by the coaching staff accountable like he does when players make mistakes. And I thought that was fair questioning from Paul Kaharski, and I thought it was not a good job at all by Mike Vrabel in answering those questions, of giving a non-answer and not even giving a thought on what the coaches were thinking about a matchup. He could have gone a bunch of different directions there, but he just didn't answer the question. Zach, what were your thoughts on Mike Vrabel right there on that?
It reminded me of a father telling his son or daughter why they can't go over their friend's house. It's because I said so. Like, well, what's the reasoning behind that, Dad? I mean, you know, I've done all my homework all week. I've got all straight A's. Why can I not go over to Jimmy or Sarah's house? Well, it's because I said so.
Yeah,
that was the play call. That's what I heard in that sense. There wasn't any depth, or as your favorite word, context to why or what rhyme or reason. Let's say in the second scenario on 3rd and 2, when Derrick Henry was not on the field, maybe he had an equipment issue. Maybe he needed a blow. Maybe there could be reasons why, but Vrabel decided to go the route of that was the play that was called. And then he's defended earlier last week the fact that they're not changing any of the coaching staff. So no matter if the coaching staff makes a mistake, they're not getting changed. I mean, he's gone on record to say that.
Yeah, and it's yeah. And then Derrick Henry was asked. I do want to play this because Derrick Henry was asked the same question after the game as well.
I feel like they've lost some faith in you in the run game on 3rd and 2 when they're throwing it instead of giving it to you.
No, I don't think they're playing. You got to call the play they think it's going to work, and we got to execute it. And I got to play better. We know I got to do better to put ourselves in position to win games and execute on drives. A lot of 3 and outs. I think he's giving us a chance, and it's all about execution, especially in close games, and come down to wire.
Yeah, so if Mike Vrabel said, because I said so, Derrick Henry basically was the answer of, go ask your father, go ask your mother. and no finger pointing there, but, he's going to do what the play call is. And so, again, I thought that was really dumb to not give the football to Derrick Henry. And there were 2 opportunities. Like, if you want to be who you are, and if you want to live by the identity of being a run-first football team and pound your chest about the physicality that you play with, then what are you doing by throwing a quick out on 3rd and 2 to a player who can't get separation in Robert Woods instead of running and being that physical football team that you pride yourself in being? And, I get maybe the first time you try to go the quick out to Robert Woods, but then you have a do-over. You have an opportunity to correct the mistake earlier, and they pulled Henry off the field. That made no sense, Zach.
Yeah, well, and it's killing drives. That's the key. The decisions are giving the football back to the opposition, and that's not going to win you football games, right? You're not playing field position these days. You got to win football games, and the only way to do that is score. So you're going with the 3rd and 2. That is what cost them the game.
It's Todd Downing's situations and bad decisions in situations, because the 3rd and 2s were bad, but Zach, the nail in the coffin where the Titans really lost that game, like the exact moment when the Titans lost that game was when they botched 1st and 10 on the Chargers' 25-yard line right before the end of the 3rd quarter, because Todd Downing's bad decision-making after a 13-yard physical run by Derrick Henry to the 25-yard line, Todd Downing decided to throw the football. Not a play action, just a straight drop back to a guy with a bad ankle, and he got sacked pretty dang quick for a loss of 6 to then end the 3rd quarter. So on 2nd and 16, Derrick Henry fights and gets 7 yards more down to the 24-yard line. So it's 3rd and 9. It's still a tie game at 7-7. on 3rd and 9 at the 24-yard line. You were in field goal range. Your running back just gained 7 yards. The one thing you cannot do is take a sack. Dennis Daly blocks nobody. Ryan Tannehill gets sacked for a loss of 9. Randy Bullock misses a 51-yard field goal, and the Titans get 0 points. And so Todd Downing didn't make just one bad decision on 1st and 10 with the first sack, but calling a play like the Chiefs game where they lost field goal range the same way by not calling a play to get positive or 0 yards. You cannot call a play that can get you negative yards, and Todd Downing did it again.
Well, that is a tough spot, and I will say this, because I looked – my initial reaction was exactly of what you said, and then I've kind of come back a little bit now that I had a night's rest and I thought about it a little bit deeper. You're at 3rd and 9. I do think that the Downing distance makes a big difference because you got to make a decision. He made the wrong decision. I'm not sitting here saying that. But look, that's play calling. You're not going to make every right decision. You're just trying to limit the poor decisions that you make. But Austin, you're 3rd and 9. There's not a lot of plays in this offense. You're either going to go for it or you're going to relinquish and try to kick a field goal. Todd Downing's bad decision was going for it. He then put them a little bit further out of field goal range. They missed the field goal. But that was his decision. At 3rd and 9, like 3rd and 5 is different. Now you can run the football, and now you're hedging because you could possibly get it by gaining 5 yards running the football, and if you don't, you still have a field goal. That was Todd Downing's decision. So I don't kill him as much as what you just said. Now that I've thought that out a little bit more, 3rd and 9 is the key. The down and distance makes that decision.
Yeah, but Todd Downing knows who's playing left tackle, right?
No, I'm not saying it was a good decision. It was the decision to go for it, to try to get the first down. That's why he threw the football. He was aggressive. You cannot fault an offensive coordinator. There's a lot of other things you can fault him for. But if you're trying to get the first down.
I don't.
So do you understand that tool of thought coming back from what you just said?
Yeah, you're in a spot where it's 3rd and 9, and you're like, well, it's tie game again, but it's the tie game in the early fourth quarter, and there hasn't been a lot of points happening since the early second quarter. You're thinking, do you play for points or you try to play for a first down to go get a touchdown?
And
right?
He played for the first down.
He played for the first down, but again, you have to understand the situation of your quarterback can barely move. Your quarterback needed to take a cart to the locker room to limit his walking to the locker room on the ankle. The quarterback's gutting this out. Your left tackle is the worst left tackle that's starting in the NFL and putting up like horrific historical numbers for sacks allowed. And you have to understand on 3rd and 9, Kyle Van Noy and all these edge rushers for the Chargers are licking their chops and just going to go after Dennis Daly. And so you have to protect your injured quarterback and protect your bad left tackle from that. And that play call where a deep drop back didn't do that. You can play for the first down by a quick hot route, in-cutting route.
No, you're not going to get the first round. These guys don't break tackles. The only guy that breaks a tackle is Chig, and that's when he's in open space, and that's every once in a while. But Austin, you can't sit here and try to force the offense to be something it's not. Guys don't break tackles in this offense.
But Chig got that. It was a second. Remember the 2nd and 12 at midfield?
Again, he's the only guy. But you cannot openly say, get it to a guy so he can break something. A.J. Brown's not on this roster anymore.
And I'm not even saying that.
But you can't say that. That is unfair. They don't have the players to expect them to break tackles.
I mean, but you
so
also
don't do that. I would say you're just going to be short, and you're now not playing for the first down.
Yeah, but
that's the key. He played for the first down. Right, wrong, indifference. That was his decision. It didn't work out, and it cost them. But that was his aggressive play call.
But you can at least you cannot lose yards there.
I know it didn't work out. But so that's not my answer. Again, that was originally my answer, but it's not my answer. John, I want to get to your comment here in a second, but I want to say my answer.
Okay.
We're getting, this is kind of funny, but you're getting distracted. Everybody is getting distracted. The question is, what lost them the game? It was their pass defense in the last 40 seconds. That's what lost them the game, guys. They can't cover. They didn't cover the guy. Like, everybody and their mother knew that Herbert was going to throw back, scramble around, and make plays. That now you're in the Chargers offense, and you did exactly what you could not do. You let the Chargers, they weren't at their own 25, they were their own 23. So it wasn't like they were even further back from field goal range. And you let Herbert literally single-handedly drive down the field and kick a field goal off 6 plays and go 52 yards. Guys, you're getting distracted. It's not the 3rd and 2s. It's not injury to the ankle. They had the opportunity to extend the game when a tie would have been a lot better than a loss. That's just based on knowing the analytics of where you are in your division and the season. Their pass defense cost them this football game.
Yeah. I mean,
you can't give up 52 yards in 40 seconds. You can't give up more yards than seconds.
And the Chargers didn't have timeouts. Is that right?
Zero, zilp, nada.
Yeah, and Sheila John Huff says you never protected the sidelines. And
it's the pass defense. Guys, that is the answer. That should be your only answer. You guys get distracted with Dennis Daly, how bad he is, Todd Downing because of the hatred towards the offensive coordinator, Vrabel, who you feel doesn't hold accountable. All these things are true. But to answer the question, what cost the Titans the game? 52 yards in 40 seconds. That's what cost them the game. Because I think if you get into a tie, let's say it gets into overtime. Now you get a coin flip that maybe you get lucky and you get the football and you can get back to running the football late in games with Derrick Henry. We saw them single-handedly beat the Texans years ago by just Derrick Henry running train over defense late in the game because nobody wants to tackle 22. That's why you lost the game.
Well, look, if you're going from a literal sense of like literally what lost the game, yes, giving
but
up.
Nobody brought that up. I looked at all the comments. Not a single said. Not a single person in the chat. We got hundreds of people in here saying the pass defense at the end of the game.
Because I feel like the Titans defense that held Justin Herbert to 14 points in the entire up until the last 44 seconds of the game. I like, especially when you've got Jack Gibbons playing inside linebacker, having to go out and guard Gerald Everett in the flats, and then he goes down, and then Monty Rice is out there playing, trying to cover Everett. Dylan Cole gets hurt, has to go out. Gibbons comes in, Gibbons gets hurt, Cole comes back in. Like you're just, Greg Maben is playing out there because Terrence Mitchell got a concussion somewhere. Lonnie Johnson's back off IR, then he gets hurt again. It's like, it's just T.R. Tart's partner is having a baby, so he has to fly back. Like there's just so many ridiculous things happening on the defense that I just find it really difficult to blame Shane Bowen, the defensive coaching staff, and the defensive players for losing that game when practice squad players like John Reed are having to, and Greg Maben are having to cover Mike Williams, Gerald Everett, and Keenan Allen thrown by Justin Herbert.
It's situational football.
No, I understand, but like again, the Titans.
That's the reason.
But the Titans offense put that defense in the situation by botching a promising drive in the early fourth quarter to take the lead, to then have the fourth quarter to do something different with it. The Titans defense was in a tough spot, and Justin Herbert made a ridiculous...
They weren't in a tough spot. They had the ball on the 23-yard line to start the drive, Austin. Don't sit here and tell me that they were in a tough spot. They had 40 seconds, 0 timeouts, and they were on their own 23. That's okay. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying.
No, do you want me to repeat where they were when they started that drive?
The 23-yard line.
0 timeouts. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 0. So don't tell me that the defense was in a bad spot. You know what was in a bad spot? The Chargers offense.
No, Zach.
True.
The Titans defense, how many consecutive drives did the Titans defense hold them to without points? Like, I mean, it was really like
why didn't they do that at the end? They had the full field.
I mean,
they had 0 timeouts. There was 44 seconds left. Think about that.
I know.
Don't try to to make excuses for the defense at the end of the game. They don't deserve them.
Yeah,
they were in the best spot. They had 0 timeouts. There's 44 seconds left. You tackle a guy in bounds at the beginning of that series. Now all of a sudden you blink twice. There's 23 seconds. And now you're putting them in a position to rush the kicker on the field, not just take their sweet ass time and have Herbert throw it up out of bounds and waste time. Austin, they killed a play. They wasted like 5 seconds by Herbert just throwing it out of bounds. Do you remember that?
Which is interesting. Why is that not intentional grounding when Malik Willis had intentional grounding?
Because no wide receiver was in the area when Malik Willis threw the ball, but there was a wide receiver in the area. That is
the area that was the second row. You know, again, it was the Malik Willis penalty. Side note, I think was a bad call because there was a comeback route. That's easily, how many times do we see a miscommunication on an option route between receiver and quarterback?
It's 20 yards downfield.
Yeah, but
the ball ended up 20 yards downfield.
But Zach, do you understand what I'm saying here? The option route could have been go or stop, and the receiver sat when the quarterback thought go. We see that all the time. It's not like uncommon.
No, you get penalized for miscommunication.
No, not like that. No, there are tons of times where quarterback receiver saying like, I thought you were going to go when he sat. Like again, that regardless, that played, it was irrelevant. But that was a bad intentional grounding call. But Justin Herbert deliberately threw the football out of bounds without any intention.
There was a wide receiver in the area.
The area is
there was not a wide receiver in the area for Malik Willis's. Football rules. It's literally black and white.
Okay. I thought the Malik Willis intentional grounding was a bad call because it's easily explained of a option route read differently by two guys. But again,
that's not the referee's fault. You're looking this in the side of the Titans.
We
Don't
see
look
that
at
all
it
the
in
time.
the Titans' eyes.
We see that all the time without being called for intentional grounding. That happens all the time. And in the NFL and college all the time where an option route gone wrong and the ball hits the grass with nobody around it.
But on a free play, that's the justification of it, right?
It doesn't matter
free play. You may see that in other terms, but the free play. You don't see Aaron Rodgers do that. Aaron Rodgers at least throws it to his guys.
Okay. Anyway, so I still, Zach, I struggle to blame the defense for the loss, considering how they
struggle. I just explained it to you literally 5 times.
I will say this:
they were in the best case scenario for defense, Austin.
I will say this:
you knew exactly what the Chargers offense were going to do. They had 0 timeouts. They had to go the length of the football field, starting on their own 23. Just tackle them in bounds. What do you? You have to blame them.
It was 3 plays, right? 3 plays is what allowed the Chargers to get down there, and the third play was the biggest of them all, which was a ridiculously impressive 35-yard pass from Herbert to Mike Williams, who made a great play. Greg Maben was all over Mike Williams in good position, but Williams and Herbert made that play happen from practice hours and everything that goes into that situation. And here's who I will fault on that particular play. Rashad Weaver has to be better. If Rashad Weaver is going to continue to develop into a full-time starter as an edge defender, he has to get better at setting the edge. I can now point off the top of my head to 2 situations where Rashad Weaver played greedy edge defending football. It was that one against Justin Herbert and the touchdown run against Patrick Mahomes on Sunday Night Football, where Rashad Weaver got his eyes big and saw sack and went too aggressive, and his teammates got burned behind him. Rashad Weaver has to play that better, because if Rashad Weaver makes Justin Herbert widen or continue to go backwards instead of get around him and get his hips set to go towards the line of scrimmage to make that throw, he can't make a 35-yard throw on the dot right there to Mike Williams. Rashad Weaver allowed Justin Herbert the ability to make the play. He has to be better in those situations, and I guarantee that he's being coached up on that and has been coached up on that even on the flight home.
Yeah, well, they'll look at that film on that play and I think agree with you and say the same thing. Let's get to John's comment. John says, Vrabel doesn't hold his coaches to the same level as his players. He expects his players to adapt and win by running the same crappy plays. Do you think that Mike Vrabel, who's notoriously a player's coach, is a coach's coach?
Mike Vrabel's trending in a direction that he is. I don't know why Todd Downing is getting such a long leash with Mike Vrabel. It doesn't make any sense to me. And Mike Vrabel is now putting himself in a bad situation because of how strongly he's defending Todd Downing. I don't know what's happening inside the building. I don't know what's happening inside the locker room, but everything we know about Mike Vrabel is that players love playing for Mike Vrabel. And I think for the most part, coaches, it's hard to be on Mike Vrabel's coaching staff because of the demand that he has and the standard that he sets. But it seems like Todd Downing is getting extra grace when I don't know why Vrabel's doing that. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm baffled by how Mike Vrabel talks about Todd Downing, just as baffled in that as the play calls that Todd Downing continues to mess up week after week.
Well, look, I don't think you're going to see Todd Downing next year. I think you're going to see Todd Downing the rest of this year. And so you may sacrifice a season, which is not fun, but Amy Adams Strunk has already kind of indirectly told us that she's sacrificing this year and saying, look, here are the keys for the rest of the year, Mike Vrabel. You make the decisions, do the best job you can. They're decimated by injury. I do think there is a little bit of grace, if you call it, probably more so to the coaching staff than there needs to be.
Yeah. And we're seeing Mike Vrabel act out now towards the media. I'm going to play another piece of audio from Mike Vrabel yesterday that I'll play the first one again on Vrabel's non-answer about 3rd and 2. And then we'll play the other one of Mike Vrabel getting a little petty with the Titans media. But Zach, first tell everybody about Farm Bureau health plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where to go to get your new health plan. I got my new health plan at the beginning of this year, plan on health, dental, and vision. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. Farm Bureau health plans of Tennessee. I switched mine, and man, I'm glad that I did. They're hooking me up with a great plan, a better plan than I previously had, and it saved me 20%. That's FBHP.com/A to Z. That's FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Also, don't forget, download the BetMGM app. I continue to have a great football season with BetMGM, and you can too when you download the BetMGM app and use our code ATOZ Sports. You get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000 when you download and sign up with our code. That's ATOZ Sports. You make your first deposit to unlock that risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only new customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification, eligible requirements. Rewards issued as knowledgeable free bets or site credit for bets expired in 7 days. For problem game of support, call Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789. Here live on this Monday morning, presented by A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Once again, amomentspeace.com/Christmas to make sure you go win on Christmas Day for a gift card there. All you got to do, amomentspeace.com/Christmas for a gift card to A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs. It's an awesome place. Been talking about them and working with them for years now. I myself, my wife and I get several couples massages throughout the year at amomentspeace.com/Christmas for there. So here's Mike Vrabel answering questions about 3rd and 2, where he just gives a complete non-answer.
This team's generally prided itself on being able to get a couple yards in the run game when you need it. You had 2 3rd and 2s, one with Derek on the field, one with Derek off the field. You chose to throw it. Why not lean on your best guy and your best element?
Because that's what we chose to do.
What's the thinking behind?
Because that's the play that we called and went with.
So as Zach eloquently put earlier in the show, because I said so. So that was Mike Vrabel addressing the 3rd and 2. Here is Mike Vrabel asked, I thought, a really good question by ESPN's Sean Davenport.
With those struggles up front, is it getting to a point where the offensive line is making it tougher to get into your playbook and do some of the things?
No, I mean we all make it tough. Again, And we got to get them the information, and we got to get them the game plan. Stay out of some of those situations. And then when we chip for them, we have to chip better and we have to protect better. There's times where, again, the quarterback had time. Nobody was open. There was time where the quarterback didn't have time and guys were open. That's how this thing goes. And we'll continue, or you'll continue to try to pinpoint it on one person. It's not that. It's a, cumulative operation. And when it's done well, I think we can win football games.
I wasn't trying to pinpoint it on the offensive line. I was just trying to get your perspective on.
You don't have to defend your question. It's going to be you or it's going to be the next guy. It's not just one guy. We got to play. The best offensive lines are ones that work great together. That do that. We've done that this year. We've done that at times a day. And then one mistake leads to a sack or a negative play, and then we had plenty of positive plays. I think it's just everybody together trying to get back into that rhythm. Avoid 1st and 20s. 2nd and long, 3rd and 25. Run out of stuff to call.
So Vrabel talked about the offensive line situation, I think, well, but then he threw the question back in Teron's face and said, you're going to pinpoint it and blame it on something, and then told Teron that he didn't have to defend the question. Again, I thought it almost feels like Mike Vrabel is starting to create a us versus the media type of thing. And I don't know if that's on purpose to try to get his players pissed off and extra motivated or not. But again, that press conference, Zach, was 6.5 minutes long. And there were 2 situations where Mike Vrabel did some weird things in how he answered and treated questions from the media in 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, well, and, he doesn't – that is Mike Vrabel, though. We just talked about how he's a player's coach. That's him defending his players. The previous one was him defending his coaches. He takes ownership of all of the guys behind him, and he's the guy, in 300, he's the leader, and he's sitting here. He's Jon Snow sitting here running into the mass of media trying to defend everybody behind him. And, I think the hard part is that the issues that this team has are pretty glaring. It's not like they're hard to find or they're inconsistent. Pretty consistent that they've been hurt, pretty consistent that they have had poor offensive line play, pretty consistent they've had poor play calling at times. Like, we know what this team is, and I feel like, the media is, and the guys in that press conference are asking the questions that are pertinent and logical, but Mike Vrabel is not willing to discuss the obvious.
Yes. And Mike Vrabel, it seems, is taking the questions personally, especially in this press conference, right? Fair questions from Paul about why no Derrick Henry runs on 2 3rd and 2 situations, and a fair question from Teron that's about the big picture of, is the offensive line protection or lack thereof impacting the ability to use the entire playbook? Like, that's a Teron curious question to try to find out an actual answer to then tell the fans. Like, I don't know if I'm sure you did see this, Zach, because of the Tampa Bay Bucks thing, but did you see the interaction between Giovanni Bernard and the Bucks media? And I don't know how we can get into that maybe later on, but fans will look at the media's actions and say, media's being ridiculous and getting after Gio like that, where I, as part of the media, say Gio has been in this league for how long? He knows how this works. He knows that he's going to go see his family. But if you have a big play that impacts the outcome of a game, you are contractually obligated to be confronted by media and have to answer questions about the outcome of the game. Because the reason why these players make the salaries they do is because the fan interest in the league creates the revenue that goes to the players that makes everybody have careers. And so if Gio has to, and players and coaches have to know that the media is not against the players or coaches. The media is the conduit from the team to the fan base, and the fans create the interest that creates the salaries. And that Teron's asking a great question about something that he can go educate or explain to the fans on whose head to call for or why something's, reasonable. I just don't get the disconnect.
Well, you explained what the media is supposed to be, right? That is, if everything works accordingly, that is exactly, you just defined what the media's job is. That's not what the reality or perception of the actual media is. Because of the last 10 years of social media and media representation and political media of left and right and trying to dig to get your side,
right?
The gotcha media, the cancel media, Twitter, and the state of disarray that it has been in over the last, several years. And, now you have Elon Musk that's trying to correct that in some regard. And then some people are saying, oh no, he's just trying to take over, right? So everybody has an opinion. I do think I understand it a little bit, and I'm not saying you don't, but you just described what the media is supposed to be, but that's not how everybody sees it as. And I think when you get a press conference or you get reporters all around you, that's a very threatening act, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It's and I'll go back to, like grade school is when, you're on a locker and people are, you go crowded around that like movie scene that you've seen of like, whether it's bullies or somebody pinning you up against the locker. And that I feel like is that feeling, especially when things are not going correctly. And let's just face it, Mike Vrabel's doing press conferences after his fourth straight loss in a row. He's gotten blown out the last 2 weeks. The last several weeks, 300-plus yard passers have torched his defense. Are there excuses and are there reasons? Yeah, there are. I mean, you could sit up there and people get mad at Mike Vrabel and be like, well, we're decimated by injury. We're hurt. That's the reason why we're losing. How do you think that everybody would react based on that?
I know that a lot of people will find that to be BS.
Destroy him.
Yeah. But again,
so what is he trying to do? He's trying to protect his players and his coaching by saying the key word of we. We've got to work better. We've got to do our job. We've got to make the play calls come in and then execute them. So that's his strategy based on what the media represents. Look, after 4 straight losses and reporters are asking you tough questions, you're probably going to get defensive. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing.
It was defensive, and the throwing it back at Teron of like, well, you're going to poke it. That's putting words in Teron's mouth.
Well, but he corrected. I think he realized that what he did there, because then he said, if it's not you, somebody else is going to do it. So I don't think that was a attack directly on Teron Davenport, but I do think that it was an attack on the media.
Right. Well, and fans are the same thing, right? Because fans react emotionally. And the way I explained it was a perfect world. Absolutely. Because there are bad apples in media that try to go get the gotcha moments. And there was one that used to write for the newspaper in town that was terrible at that and pissed off a lot of players during his short stint here. And then he went elsewhere and that was good, right? There was a couple bad situations in the Nashville media, but Cincinnati Titan says, and the media is asking dumb questions. What do you expect them to say? Well, you don't look at it as dumb questions. They are sometimes media members ask questions to give a player or a coach an opportunity to put something on the record to set that straight. And again, that's how I approach things when I ask questions in situations, was to try to allow them the opportunity for explanation or ownership or whatever it is. But, sometimes players and coaches are, the rat poison stuff that gets drilled into people's heads.
Here's what Dom says. One thing about Vrabel, he's going to criticize what is seen on the field, in parentheses, players. We can't see coaching necessarily. And Dom, you know what? That is correct, right? We don't know what happens in the headsets. And I think that is something. right? We don't know what happened with Derrick Henry on that second, 3rd and 2. Like, if we did know that he was fully healthy and ready to go and wanting to be out there, then that's different than maybe something happening in the nuances of the game that we just don't know. You can't see the coaching in the sense of knowing all of what's going on. So I think that's a fair point by Dom. And John brings up, we can't blame, whoever we want, but this is 2 losses because of a missed field goal. How many more are we going to lose before you could sign a better kicker? John, right, I think, brings up the special teams point, which we have not really touched on at all.
Yeah. Let's do that now. Let's talk about Randy Bullock missing a field goal again, and how much blame does that deserve in this loss. But first, let me tell you guys about Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers. They are the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. So if you've been injured in a car wreck, and unfortunately those things happen way too often, and it's a situation that nobody wants to be in and nobody wants anybody to be in, but it happens, right? So you have to know who to go to get what you deserve from being injured in a car wreck. And Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, they've recovered over $1 billion, that's billion with a B, for their clients across the state of Tennessee and in Kentucky over the last 30 years. And they've got the resources, the muscle to go get you what you deserve if you've been injured in a car wreck. So trust Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers right there. Call them for a free case consultation at 800-800-4600, Principal Office, Nashville, Tennessee.
BetMGM, download the app today. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports, the king of sports books. You see right there at the bottom of your screen, risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 for new users. Download the app today.
All right, so John, was it John who asked the question about Randy Bullock and missing field goals in a couple of games the Titans have lost? You know, how much blame do you think Randy Bullock deserves in yesterday's situation, right? Because he missed a 51-yard field goal wide right. How do you compare that to yesterday to missing the game-winning field goal opportunity against the Giants in week 1?
Well, so I have to kind of go back and get the detail of the missed field goal, because 52-yard attempt. I want to say this. You're an NFL kicker. You should be able to make a 52-yard attempt in a dome on nice plush.
Well, there's a dome, right? There's a roof, but there's beautiful LA breeze that's flowing through the open air dome. So yeah, no weather, excuses there.
And so what's the discrepancy from 3rd and 9 to 4th and 18? I don't usually do math on air, but that's 9 yards, right? 52 minus 9, you're sitting there. Now all of a sudden it's very, very different. You're now at a 43-yard field goal that I think you could drill. There's blame on Randy Bullock for missing the field goal. Don't miss those field goals when your team needs you. It's not 1962 that a 52-yard field goal is like, oh my gosh, it's so difficult. Kickers drill 60-yarders nowadays. So there's blame on Bullock, but those 9 yards are preventative.
So you said it was a 52-yard field goal,
It would have been 43.
Yeah. Well, he missed the 47 on 3rd and 12 against the Giants. And that was in September.
And what should it have been, though? It should have been closer to possibly a 43 or a 45 because of the botched timeout situation between Todd Downing and Ryan Tannehill. So
and Vrabel.
Again,
and Vrabel. Vrabel has
put Vrabel in there. But so these are instances that Randy Bullock, you are hurting your kicker more. There's responsibility to make the kick. So I'm not sitting here saying it's not Bullock's fault whatsoever. But 3 to 5 yards or 9 yards makes a big difference. And Austin, it may not have been 9 yards. We talked about earlier that Todd Downing went for the first down on 3rd and 9. What if he would have just conceded and said, we're going to run the football and try to get 2 yards or 3 yards?
Yeah.
Let's say they get 3 yards. Now it's a different situation. So instead of 9, it's 12. 12 minus 52, you're now at a 40-yard field goal.
Yeah,
but also Bullock was hurt earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm. With a calf.
Excuse reason. Now we're trying to, but that's the full story.
Sure. So I don't put much. I do think Mike Vrabel was asked about Randy Bullock missing the kick. And he said, he missed a 51-yard field goal, 52-yard field goal. He missed it. Like, that just happens. I do agree with you and most people in the chat who are saying that, the sack on third down is what allowed the field goal to be that much more difficult, because that was the first 50-plus yard field goal that Bullock has attempted all season. He is 12 of 15. Now, he has missed a game or two because of injury, right? He's 12 of 15 this season. He's perfect from under 30 at 4 for 4. He's 3 for 3 within 30 to 39. He's 5 of 7 between 40 and 49, and now 0 for 1, 50 plus. And so,
but 42 is different than 49 or 48, right?
Yes.
Like, that's the discrepancy of those 10 yards that are important.
Mm-hmm. And because he didn't miss the 52-yard field goal by much. It wasn't that wide.
No, it had the distance.
It had the distance, and it wasn't that wide. I feel like that same kick from 45 goes through.
So I'm sometimes in the history of this show and the Titans of covering them, I have been concerned about the kicking game. I am not as concerned about the kicking game. The offense has got to help their kicker. The kicker's got to make kicks, though. But I'm not as concerned.
Well, Eric says bring back Shudak. Okay, Eric wants to bring back the rookie who missed the 35-yard field goal against the Bengals just a few weeks ago. Like, no.
You don't want to do that.
Yes. Cloud House says, can y'all move on to the offensive line? I think we had an idea to talk about the O-line, and I think we're going to save that in our back pocket and do that potentially tomorrow because we've got a lot of things to discuss this week, Zach. I think Ryan Tannehill's availability on Saturday against the Texans is a big topic to discuss.
I know how I would play it.
Oh, I'm ready for that show about that Ryan Tannehill topic. Kevin Byard's comments post-game, which were fantastic, that we'll talk about. We will definitely talk about the offensive line and Dennis Daly and Dylan Radins and what happened with there. Do we know Dylan Radins got hurt with a knee? That sucks because it looked like he was going to get more of an opportunity. Now, Vrabel did say that it was a planned rotation at left tackle, and you don't see a lot of planned left tackle rotations in the NFL in games, but that's what the Titans are planning on doing until Dylan Radins hurt his knee at some point in the second quarter, and Dennis Daly had to come in and finish the game and gave up. I think Daly officially gave up 2 sacks of the 4. I know Brewer gave up 1 of the 4 too, but not great. But there's a lot of topics that we're going to have throughout this entire week leading up to this Texans game on Christmas Eve on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is a special show because it is brought to you by Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. And that's something that we're going to get into next. A Moment's Peace right there. You can get a gift card. It's that time of year. Isn't that right, Austin?
It is. amomentspeace.com/Christmas. That is where you need to go for a gift card for someone you love. If you're looking for that last thing to put your Christmas gifting over the top, a Moment's Peace gift card is the way to go. If you want to achieve hero status this year, all you got to do, amomentspeace.com/Christmas. You get a gift card. You can print it off directly from the website, or you can go see them in Cool Springs, right off of Carruthers, there in Brentwood, Franklin, and they beautifully wrap their gift cards in a great performance type of look there for you. You can spend a little. You can go lavish. They have 10 different services all under one roof at a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa for you to pick from, or the gift card to cover whatever it is that he or she wants. So amomentspeace.com/Christmas is where to turn this holiday season. That last second thing, all you need is a half a day or just a few minutes to go at amomentspeace.com/Christmas to get that gift card and to make sure that you win on Christmas Day with amomentspeace.com/Christmas.
All right, since we have the theme of A Moment's Peace right there at the bottom of the screen, we're going to ask you anything. And this is it's a tough question for me as a grown-ass man. What do you want this year for Christmas? Right? Like, I think you get into less wants as you get older, right? When you're a 7-year-old kid, you want, a basketball hoop or whatever, right? What do you want this year for Christmas? I am looking forward to the chat of hearing what they want. And, is it a brand new Ferrari? Is it peace and health? Is it, who knows? Is it a new home? You get into a situation, I think, at least where I'm at, is that like, I don't necessarily, there's not something that I want so badly besides like, a yacht, but that's not feasible right now.
It's the whole, like, once you get into adulthood, it's the, you need some things. And what are some things that you need that you prefer not to spend your own money on? It's like something that, like, I need, some really nice socks for this winter, but I'd prefer not to go spend, $15 to $20 on a pair of socks, but it'd be great if somebody got me that, right? So what do you want for Christmas? I do find this interesting as once you get deeper and deeper into adulthood.
All right, so let's go through some of the chat, and then we'll ask you, Austin. Is Greg Simple, my kids to listen? I knew that we were going to get a couple of these, and these are good, right? Just to be alive from Van, and that's a good ask. Golf balls from Eric. Kenneth wants the Titans to make the playoffs. James, a PS5. Almost 40, but he doesn't care. He wants a PS5. Chris wants a win. There's a couple of left tackles that we'll know. A vacation to the Maldives there from Kevin.
All
right. Dom wants cash. Xbox Gold for a year for Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty for Xbox One. So that's there for Zach. I hope you get that cold hard cash from Dom. A Super Bowl from Amber, which I don't think you're going to get that this year. I don't think Santa's going to bring it for the Titans this year. Robbie, my wife and kids to be happy and healthy. Family's health. We got a lot of like fire the entire coaching staff. So I'm just kind of going over, I'll be honest. Kids to be happy from Teddy. Family love. See, and this Amanda wants a new laptop, which I think we hope that Santa brings Amanda. Jared now wants the Maldives as well. So, and this is kind of what I expected. What do you want for this year's Christmas?
It's hard because, like, what do I want? I don't, there's nothing necessarily that I want. I get excited because usually, some new clothes that I look forward to getting to update and continue to grow the wardrobe.
That you wouldn't buy yourself.
That,
right?
Yeah. That I wouldn't necessarily go out and spend whatever money it is, but I'm going to do it, Zach. I'm going to be sappy. What I want for Christmas is time. I want time for Christmas, time to relax, time to decompress, time to, hang out with family and some friends over the next couple of weeks. And then just time to chill and to hang out and enjoy some football. I'll give you something. I want the Vols to whip Dabo Swinney's ass for Christmas. I want Tennessee to just go put Dabo Swinney out of his misery and beat them in the Orange Bowl so bad, because Dabo has gone from somebody I used to like and respect 8 years or so ago to somebody that I cannot stand. So watching Tennessee whip up on Clemson and Dabo Swinney would be a great way to wrap up the holiday season, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
That's why they play the game. I'm looking forward to watching that. And I do know, based on know your fandom, that is something you truly want.
Yes, that would be great. What do you want, Zach?
I'm in the same boat in the sense of, like, I don't really, if I want some, I'm gonna go buy it. Like, that's just my mentality of anything. But there is I will say, as far as like materialistic things there. So every year I buy a present for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And both my parents have passed away. So that is like, and I don't know, in my like weird head is like, all right, well, I'm going to go buy what they would have bought for me. I don't think it makes logical, rational sense, but I do it.
Yeah.
And so this year I'm going to buy, I wear cowboy boots. I think it's probably from my Texas roots or so, but I'm going to go buy a very nice pair of cowboy boots. That's going to be the present that my deceased parents are going to give me because they cannot give that to me. So that's what I do every year. And that's what I want. I want all the other stuff, right? I want time, season's not over, so I'm not going to get any time. I want healthy happiness. I want all of that. But I'm looking forward to a new year in 2023. I'm getting married, and life is changing and evolving, and growing up, and so I look at things a little bit differently. But yeah, I think I want cowboy boots and health and happiness.
I'm with you right there. That's always great. I hopefully, fingers crossed, that we're going to get a couples massage from momentspeace.com because we typically get that because we always ask for it every year. A momentspeace.com/Christmas. That's where you need to go for that last little thing to put it over the top there for that Christmas giving this season. So momentspeace.com/Christmas for a great gift card there. Any closing thoughts here, Zach, on the Titans 4-game losing streak before we wrap up this Monday show? A big week of conversations for Tennessee.
Yeah, they need to go buy themselves a new car, a new Hyundai, WilsonCountyHyundai.com, the Palisade, the Sonata. They've got you covered. Maybe that's what Vrabel's missing to kind of chill them out. They've got, the Palisade has got those seat heaters. It's getting a little bit colder. Maybe he just needs to warm up a little bit, get in the spirit. It's hard to do on a 4-game losing streak, but visit WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Look at their inventory for all of your perfect make and models right there at Wilson County Hyundai.
All right, that'll wrap it up for us here today on A to Z Sports. There's a lot of things coming down the pipe for A to Z Sports, content galore. As Mike Vrabel will speak to the Titans media today at noon Central Time. So back from LA, long flight. We'll get updates on injury situations and see what happens if Mike Vrabel holds play calling accountable today or not. But Sam Phelan will have coverage there from St. Thomas Sports Park for the Titans press conference at noon today. And then we will be back live tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. We'll find out the updates on Ryan Tannehill's ankle and what that might mean for the Texans game coming up on Saturday and all the other topics that we'll have coming out of the 4th straight loss for the Tennessee Titans. So that'll do it for us. Make sure you like the show before you go if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.